Hello and welcome to Never Give Up, Never Surrender. I talk about gaming with progressive disabilities, the effects of this in how we experience games, and possible ways to improve the project's experience. A bit about me, my name is Antonio Ignacio Martinez. I am a gamer with spinal muscular atrophy type 3, which causes my muscles to get weaker over time, reducing my mobility and creating other side effects. I am an accessibility advocate and consultant and also founded Game Accessibility Nexus with a couple of friends back in 2019, where I act as editor-in-chief and write mobility reviews. If you have questions about the talk or anything, you can find me in the Discord channel for this conference and anytime on Twitter at Black1976, that is BLACK1976. But first of all, what is a progressive disability? It's a condition that evolves over time, causing a person's capabilities to change and increasing the number and severity of various experiences. In my case, this has made interactions harder to perform as the variety of inputs my hands can perform has decreased and they also require more energy, meaning that I get tired much faster. There are progressive disabilities that affect or other aspects like vision, hearing, or cognitive. We could make the analogy with an RPG character. In RPGs, your stats increase as time passes and you level up. In the case of someone like me, my stats are reduced instead. Now, what are the effects of this when playing games? The changes in all these areas can affect your capability to perform inputs as you have trouble reaching for keys or buttons, holding them down, smashing them, or pressing more than one at a time. It can also affect the precision of your movements and the timing of this. The end result is a mismatch between your capabilities and what a game requires you to do and how to do it, effectively making it not accessible anymore. As an example, I have been playing all types of video games since I was a kid. This allowed me to socialize with my friends more after school as we played games together. My arms and hands were not fit for most real-life sports and activities, but they were just as capable as theirs in a level field like video games. Games also have worked throughout my life as physical therapy, but as time passed, the complexity of controls and the evolution of my disability made me have to give up on many games, and in some cases even on certain genres like driving, sports, or fighting. In 2015, I was having the time of my life playing Grand Theft Auto Online, where I had some issues, but I still managed to perform all the activities in the game at a high level. I even joined a gang and we played for hours every day. This picture is a selfie I took on my apartment during the Christmas celebration of that year. We had snowball fights, large fireworks and all. Unfortunately, by the start of 2016, my capabilities changed again and I had to leave this game and everything it meant to me. Independence, achievements, fun, and friends. Moving on to 2017, things had got worse as I felt pushed away from games. The lack of certain features made more and more games impossible for me to play. I had to renounce to more and more games over time, including the Assassin's Creed franchise, as they were no longer a good match for me. A few days before Assassin's Creed Origins was released, I asked a streamer if he could show me the game options. I saw then that the game offered toggles for aiming, lifting the shield, and just a couple more features. That's all I needed, so I pre-ordered the most expensive edition available. A lot of times, all that some of us need are not big changes or revolutionary features, but a bit of customization, so don't underestimate the value of those things that may seem unimportant because they can make all the difference in accessibility. An essential part of countering the effects of the disability's progress is our setup. For some, it is high-quality headset for getting the maximum amount of info through the game's sound cues. For others is a big screen with high resolution and contrast to make it easier to see things, and for those of us with reduced mobility, it's all about the controls. I use an Xbox Adaptive Controller for certain games like Forza Horizon 5, and I keep my mouse close because navigating menus is much easier with it for me, and having hybrid inputs, I can also use my voice commands if needed. But as our needs evolve, also all setups need to evolve, and in this case, for example, I mostly use a numeric keypad, my mouse, and voice commands. Also the eye-gazing technology. Now a small tip on how to maximize the use of keys. Physically, I can only use the keys on the numeric keypad, restricting the amount of inputs I can remap to 16 keys in many cases. Now, by turning off the numeric lock, many of those keys change their function, adding 10 or 11 more possible keys, or by alternating a simple mode. This works on screen keyboards too, as you can see. Other tools that help are software to add extra functionalities, like magnifiers for people with low vision, or software that executes key presses when you say a specific word. I started using voice-activated commands to deal with keys that I couldn't reach or that weren't remappable, like the infamous escape key in menus for many games. In the last 4 years, and as my mobility was reduced drastically, I use it for most action, including movement. This takes the load off my hand at the cost of greater cognitive process and is challenging when there are too many different actions or they rely on tight timings. Now let's see how I play these days, using a mix of voice commands, mouse input with my right hand, and eye tracking. In this video, I will use the eye gaze indicated by the floating white circle to aim at the barrel, and then use voice commands to tell my good friend Chorizo to search there, and then ask him to come back and finally get close to him and pet him. Busca.
Dale, Chorizo.
Vuelve.
Come back, Chorizo.
Arriba. Arriba. Bien hecho.
Oh, good boy. Good boy.
Now I will show you how my friend Victor plays using a software called YOLO Mouse that allows him to change the size and contrast of his mouse cursor. So you can see in the left picture we have League of Legends with a regular mouse cursor. On the right hand we have the mouse cursor that he's using thanks to this software. This doesn't give him any advantage in terms of functionalities, this only allows him to see the cursor more clearly. But how can games help? Through a mix of customization to better adapt the gameplay to each player, evolving needs, and including design features that support the player. There isn't one single way, because as the Mandalorian would say, all ways are the way. First of all, launchers can help, as most games these days run in full screen mode by default and at maximum volume. By changing the screen mode before a game launches, players needed to use an on-screen keyboard don't lose that tool, or if you need to adjust volumes, brightness, or anything else, you can have a better experience from the start too. Adjusting sensitivity is very important. As your range of movement is reduced, you might need to increase it more and more over time, or reduce it in other cases. It is for the reason that having a wide range to set it exactly as you need is essential. This also includes controllers where it's not just important the sensitivity, but also being able to adjust the dead zones so the player will need to move the stick more or less. As an example of the importance of this, when Assassin's Creed Valhalla was released, it had a scale from 1 to 10 to adjust the sensitivity. Even at the maximum, some players using touchpads and having very limited movement in their hands had issues and weren't able to play. The team at Ubisoft took note of this and released an update that increased the sensitivity, multiplying by 3 the maximum previous level, and now those players didn't have to face that barrier. This is a very common issue that affects a lot of games from all studios. Remapping is another essential way for the player to adjust the game inputs to their capabilities, as not every key and button might be reachable for them. In this case, we can see that you can also remap the mouse wheel up and mouse wheel down inputs, giving you extra mouse buttons for free. As I mentioned before, one of the most common barriers is hard-coded keys that the escape key to go to menus. In this game, we can remap it having one less barrier to face. As we can see here, remapping also is important for controller, because in this case we can change the way that we want to perform the inputs from a single press, a hold, or a double press, meaning that we can get more actions done with the same number of buttons. While remapping is an accessibility feature, it's also important to make it accessible. In this case, we can see that we have an icon on the bottom right to unbind the key, because sometimes that's also a barrier. An alternate way of remapping from Watch Dogs Legion is the fact that you can show this on a screen keyboard in the game, click on what key you want to assign, and then select the action that you want to use. This way you don't need to press the key if you cannot reach it, or you can use it to move keys that you don't need for specific functions out of the way. The ability to choose between toggles and holds for common actions like aiming, sprinting, crouching, and accessing item wheels is also very important, as each mode presents benefits for players with different needs. Toggles help in cases when you have difficulty holding down or repeatedly pressing an input. In this case, Diablo 4 allows to set a skill casting as a toggle. This means less energy wasted holding buttons and more playtime. This has an extra benefit as now, instead of having to click every time we need to move, we can Just click once to initiate movement, move the cursor around, and our character will follow it, as you can see. QuickTime events have been the bane of many people for a long time, but now, thanks to options to customize how we want to interact with them, whether it is by performing the default action, making a hold, smashing the button, or just pressing a single time, or even skipping it, is a very helpful feature. Speed adjustment is also very important, and it can help with low reflexes and increase reaction times. You can do it like Forza Horizon 5 does by just having a slider that controls the in-game speed, or you can also do it with settings that allow you to increase the time given for choices and things like that. Or you can also do it with in-game features like disabling Assassin's Creed Valhalla that slows down time when you perform a good dodge. And when it comes down to difficulty, giving the players ways to adjust parameters like damage dealt or taken and increase time to perform actions and avoid punishment will allow us to enjoy the challenge without experiencing an unintended barrier and reducing fatigue. Aim assistance is a feature that becomes more important as dexterity, strength, or vision are reduced, always helping many people in different ways. It's also important to note that aim assistance should be available for mouse and keyboard users as well as controller users, and that despite that a game might be about sniping enemies, that doesn't mean that aim assistance doesn't have a place in it. In the same way, features like auto loot or ways to help the player to solve puzzles or get extra warnings become more necessary and are a good way to make accessibility more immersive, like Atreus does in God of War. An auto walk, auto boat, and ledge guard help you when your capabilities or energy levels don't allow you to perform continuous inputs and avoid unnecessary accidents. Similarly, traversal assistances will help also to keep enjoying the game by reducing fatigue and helping reach your destination. Fast travel also allows you to keep playing the game for a longer time without needing to do so much backtracking or simply wasting energy going from one place to another that is very distant. As you have seen, it's not about reinventing the wheel, but giving players tools with more range to better adapt games to evolving needs, because it's precisely when these changes happen that we need these safe havens more than ever to regain our resolve and remind ourselves that despite of these struggles, we can adapt to our new circumstances. Games can be a powerful support element to help us move from one phase of our lives to another. I don't want anyone else to lose their place in their communities and the access to these experiences that mean so much to us. I think it's doable, and I believe this because I have seen what we all can achieve together. This can be a challenge, but it is also a big opportunity to keep people doing something we love and need. You all have opened doors to these worlds to more people, so let's make sure that we can keep them open for as long as possible. Because we don't keep trying, we never give up, and we never surrender. Now, for more information on some topics, I recommend these talks in this channel, design considerations from players using voice commands by Voice Gaming, game accessibility for eye gaze users by Becky Tyler, Dystrophy Gaming with Vivek Gohil, for Got Yellow Mouse, search on Google, and for difficulty-based accessibility, watch Ian Hamilton talk on the same channel. And finally, thank you to all the attendees for listening to my talk. I humbly hope that it helps, to my friends and accessibility buddies in the community, and especially to Tara Walker, Ian Hamilton, and all the GCOM staff. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.